This episode is brought to you by the feature film Wall of Flesh, a vintage comedy. A faded musician and lovable curmudgeon must reassemble his motley band of misfits in order to provide for the spermatozoan that got away. Streaming now on Amazon. This is another episode of Unnecessary Talk with Brian Sturges, and I am that Brian Sturges. Our guest today is actor and festival director of the Die Laughing Film Festival, Ray Chao.
I've actually been to Albany.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've been there, but like in February. So yeah. I don't have very fond memories of Albany. Although I remember it was gray and rainy and cold. But I remember it was really beautiful. Like we were downtown Albany, it was really beautiful. But I'll tell you, the first time I went to Albany, it was like middle of the night, and I was like, "Oh, I want to go see the Niagara Falls." So I'm like, and it was a huge. It wasn't that far. It was like
Albany to Niagara Falls. That's like a 4-hour drive.
Was it that long? Anyways, it was a fiasco, and I never even saw him because I then found out later you have to go to the Canadian side to really appreciate the falls.
Yes.
The New York side sucks.
They don't tell you that.
They don't tell you that until you're there. And I'm in the fog, in the snow, and I didn't even see the falls. I did hear them, but I never saw them.
Yeah, they have universal health care, the better view of the falls. They keep people like me out. Like they really got something going on up there.
They do.
Plus they have caribou. I don't know if you're a caribou fan.
Yeah, I do like caribou. I like they're very flamboyant with their antlers.
Yes.
They're not they're not like reindeer.
They really introduce themselves. When they walk into a party, they want to be seen. They walk antler. I mean, but isn't that funny? That's their whole life. That's their whole thing in life. Like we're worried about having a big private area, but they're just like, it's all about the antlers in our community, right? That's
and they're probably like their whole life, like knocking things over and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're trying to go through two caribou in a house in a china shop, right? Where what's that old joke?
A bull in a china shop.
A bull in a china shop. A caribou. We'll update it.
Well, imagine if you're a caribou in isolation in a small studio apartment with your partner caribou.
How do you buy headphones? I guess. Well, the ears are on the head, right? So I guess you could still do it.
Yeah, I guess.
Ignore that. Yeah.
No, you probably would have a hard time buying a hat. Yes.
Well, would you want? I think maybe the visor community. I feel like that. If you want, you have the sun out of your eyes and you have that around. I think that would be great.
Or a caribou should buy those hats that have like horns on them. You see those, and it'd be like caribou and then hat and then horns.
I love it. I don't see why not. I think caribou fashion is set to make a comeback. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's that's the key to success. You got to find your niche, and you just got to claim it.
Yeah, much like comedy, which hasn't happened. So Ray, my man, you are a wonderful actor, and I got to tell you, because the amount of research we do is various IMDb searches, and I saw your different reels, and you have done a lot of gigs. You've done a lot of commercials.
I have done. I've been really, really lucky. I've been at it a while, So, I like your shirt. I just saw your shirt. I think everyone kind of has their own kind of path in this industry, and it's really hard not to kind of look at other people and say, "Oh, why can't I be there? Or why can't I be here?" But I think. With me, I've been really lucky. I just do things that I like with people I like. And I will say, And the nicest thing I think about my resume, if I can toot my own horn, is I end up working with people more than once. And I think that that's a huge compliment. I think it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, you want to work with people you want to work with. Like everyone can say the line, Like I just think it's crazy when you go to casting and they look at 100 people for here's your coffee, sir. And then
You're right.
you're one, and you're like, really? Like, I couldn't deliver that line, but it's like, it's all about, relationships and,
Right. Who you know. I mean, that's how when I just cast for any sort of comedy stuff, unless I need, a friend that I don't have or a kid or something. I mean, I just cast my friends because all the friends are in comedy. So why wouldn't you just,
And also, I think when you rely on those relationships, there's a bit of like they're not going to flake on you. I think that.
Yes. Well, sometimes. I mean,
most of the time, but it's a big problem. I think with low budget. I mean,
sure, money talks, right? Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you can't fault them. It's like they've got a paying gig. But on the other hand, I always tell people the stress of producing something is literally you do not know if it's going to go until the morning of the shoot. Like literally, literally, yeah.
How I'm with you. I understand. But especially, but when it's your project, you're just like, please show up, please show up.
I know. Yeah.
And I've definitely had people not show up. I've had people show up, not, they haven't learned their lines and I mean, and things happen in life, but often they haven't, like they just didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then,
well, it could go the other way. It could be, because of that familiarity, they could think like, oh, it's just Brian. He'll be cool.
I think that's kind of what it is. And then I think when people show up and they're like, oh, there's a sound like all of a sudden they're maybe doing the math and doing the time that it takes. And all of a sudden, then I have noticed that. Then they're like, I didn't think this was I remember one actor showed up and said, I didn't think this was a real thing.
Right, exactly.
So he just didn't learn his lines. And then, of course, I'm dying 1,000 deaths because, every minute, as a business person, as a producer, as the executive producer, you're doing, oh, well, that was a half an hour wasted. But so how many hundreds of dollars did that just cost me?
No, it is interesting.
This, which I've never done before.
I think it's like, oh, you look like you look taller now. It's a great experience. Spending your own money on a project. I think I've been on expense accounts before, and I've lived it up. But then when it's like your own money, you're like eyeing the crafty table, and you're like, okay, that was his third donut. And
you're dying 1,000. Trying to spread the bread out. I mean, and then I had. I've had people show up, fill-ins, so basically when I try to hire people, right, you want to hire and they use their friends, right? I'm just hiring the cinematographer. If you got a sound guy that you use, that's great. Whatever. You have your friends, bring your friends on, I'll pay. It's all good.
Right.
When they fill in people, I mean, I had a last minute fill in on sound. I won't go far into the story because I told it before, but basically I had someone show up who lied about what they could do, couldn't do it, still cash the check, and then it cost me thousands of dollars in time to make up for someone's lie. And it's just like, man, and I think, just like the landlord situation that's happening with paying, if you're a corporation, like it's fine, but if you're renting from your friend, like, you gotta, business is, when it's your dime, it's rough to see it go away. People don't respect it. And in business, you must take a loss, right? You're never going to your stock will never go straight up, right? You're going to lose. Some days you're going to lose money. Other days you're going to make it. But,
for sure,
your own boss.
But, I think, I think this industry, you're kind of encouraged to say yes to everything, And I remember so many times, I haven't been burned that bad, but you'll see a posting for a casting and be like, oh yeah, I could be a Benihana chef. How hard could it be to learn how to juggle knives, And then you get the audition and then you're YouTubing, how do you, make how do you do the garlic swirl or whatever,
I haven't been to Benihana in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. But the only time I really got burned was, it was like, oh, you have no problems with tarantulas, do you? And I'm like, no, not at all. And then, of course, I get there and they had a tarantula. And so I did the whole thing with a tarantula, and that was actually not that bad. But then they're like, hey, how about scorpions? And I was like, No, like scorpions, that's where I draw the
Wildcat,
line.
the Tiger King comes in.
Right.
How about this wild cougar?
Right. But you know what it is? It's like, I'm sure you've done that. You submit to something and you're like, oh, I could be a Cirque du Soleil aerialist. Like, how hard could it be?
Definitely. I went for it was a Lowe's-esque commercial for a lawnmower company. And you had to do the riding mower. And it was like, do you have experience? I was like, well, I did one once when I was 12. So I went to the audition. It did not go well. I did not get the part. And as I was doing it, he says, we're done here. Yeah, he just kind of stopped it. He knew that I was going to cut off someone's foot at some point.
Right.
He called it. And then this other guy did it right before me, and he was so good at it. Like, he had obviously owned his own landscaping business. And at the very end, he hopped off. Like, he hopped off in this kind of masculine, like, I've done it. I was like, I don't know what pedal is.
And then they pan up, and he's made this intricate maze in the lawn.
He signed his name
with a logo. Right? It's like,
absolutely. Auditioning is a whole nother process of going in and
I don't remember what auditions are like anymore because of all this crazy.
I kind of like that auditions were moving mostly online unless you had to for the second audition. So when I do casting, I'm not going to, as an actor who doesn't want to make somebody get in the car, you got to drive from Studio City to Hollywood. You got to find park. It's like, and it takes, 2 to 4 hours for 5 minutes worth of time in the audition. It's just not cost effective. I don't even know why they're spending the money to have the room. Right?
Yeah.
But for the first round, just video submissions or do this and then bring it in. But the amount of time, so I won't go anymore. I've done the math. Because actually you get to a point where you don't need to say yes all the time because you're like, I don't need that credit anymore. You've built enough of the small ones. You want to keep building up.
Yeah, I think it's actually a double-edged sword. It's because on the one hand, I like self-submits too. But sometimes it takes 2 to 3 hours to get the self-submit done.
Oh yeah,
I don't. You got to find someone. You got to set up. Unless you have like a space in your house. Like I don't. I have a dog. I have housemates and stuff like that. I got to find someone. I end up now. I actually just go to a studio and just pay them $20 and do it. It's like it's quicker that way, But at the end of the day, I like to be in the room because I think everyone has their own strategies and. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made was when I first moved here, I followed everyone's advice, So it's like, oh, don't shake hands, don't smile, don't say hello, don't do this. And then finally I was like, you know what? I just gotta be me.
You gotta be me. I was just about to say that.
Because I was like, if they're not going to cast me because I said hello, well then that set is going to suck. And then also if they don't want me to be spontaneous or funny or friendly, they're going to hate me on set. They're going to be like,
right. Oh, you want to do you.
Yeah.
You want to show up and you want to show them who you are, your personality. Here it is. Why waste the time? It's about building confidence, right? You feel more comfortable as an actor now.
I definitely think the majority, if not all of the, especially commercials, I think they see so many people and we're all so interchangeable and it just kind of depends on who you're paired with sometimes. So, I tend to overanalyze things, and I'll give you a perfect example that's specific to me. So if I'm going into a commercial casting for a family, okay, and I'm playing dad, if it's a daughter, I actually have a better chance because the pool of Asian young girls talented is higher. As opposed to there's fewer young Asian boys that are auditioning, okay? So if they don't know what they want, they're like, oh, we just want family. We're seeing boys and girls. Then that's kind of an even playing field. But if they're looking for a boy, but they're not sure of what ethnicity they want, let's say we're going to go ethnic. So we don't know if we're going to go Asian, African American, or Latino. I'm at a disadvantage because they have to cast the boy first. They're not going to cast an Asian dad. He's perfect.
Yeah.
Now we got to find the kid. He's got to kind of look like him. He's got to be able to do the lines. He's got to be able to follow directions. And the pool is smaller. So they start with the kid. They go, oh, that kid is great. Let's find a dad. So I think that at the end of the day, you just got to go in there and you got to like convince them that you're the right person. And sometimes that's by being friendly or an antidote or something, some sort of connection. I booked a McDonald's specifically because the camera guy said, "Hey, those guys are from Chicago." Because I said something about Chicago. Like there was like a pause. And then I said some joke about, well, I was born in Chicago. Like if I was doing a monologue. And so the camera guy laughed. He goes, "Hey, those guys are from Chicago." And it turned out the entire callback room was from Chicago because McDonald's is based in Chicago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So we had this huge, long conversation about Chicago and McDonald's. And then I think I was perfectly fine in the callback. And so I booked it because I think they got to know me, for that 2 minutes, but
congratulations. I mean, that's a great, that's McDonald's. You don't get any better than that for a commercial.
Well, it ended up not being so great because
it's Hollywood lie. It's great.
I know.
You made millions. You made millions, right? Come on.
I made McMillions. They shot four commercials for this big ad push, and then mine never aired because they stopped the promotion before mine aired. So
I'm sorry.
Hey, kids, if you want to come to Hollywood, my advice is don't. And then second, and second is like, man, there are so many aspects of Hollywood I had no idea until you like get slapped in the face with it. Like I had no idea there was such a thing as you book a commercial, you film a commercial, and then you get this letter. I don't know if you've ever had the misfortune of this. You get this letter from some organization, and they're like, "Oh, we reviewed the commercial. You're not in it, so you're not getting paid." You're like, "Oh my God." So I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until I got edited out of a commercial, and then you don't get the residuals.
That's messed up. There was this I won't say the name of the iced tea company. But
Lipton.
No, actually, it was like a ginger beer company. I won't say the name, but it was like ginger beer or like a ginger ale. I don't know, whatever.
Just say it was Corona. They're getting all the blame anyway.
Yeah, whatever. This is, by the way, don't mind the general dander that's coming down and killing me. What was it? What was I saying? I lost it.
You did a lemonade.
Oh, the iced tea. Yeah. Pay attention. It was iced tea, or ginger ale, or something, whatever it was. It was a ginger beer. So I went, and there were hundreds, and I'm like, and so we're in a parking lot, and there are maybe 200 to 300 people all auditioning, right? And I was like, what? We're just all uncovered in this parking lot, and I sit there hours and hours, and 6, 7, 8 hours go by, and you go up and you try the ginger thing, and they filmed you, and then you left, basically. And then, you only get paid if you get it. I never got it. And then their commercial was they just picked those people auditioning.
Nice,
right? So at the end of the day, if you could tell the rage. Think about the hours and time of people, and the whole commercial was 15 seconds, and they used 3 people that said, "I love it." But the amount of time and actors we're talking maybe 300 actors they brought just to see who looked the best to sip their thing. So they have no respect whatsoever. Just cast. But I mean, I will never drink their product, whatever their product was, ginger. I would see it if I saw it.
I would ban all ginger beers. I would ban all ginger beers. But also I think what's shady about that is you did the work. The time. That's why I've stopped going to kind of any sort of bullshit audition that I don't think is going to be fun. Like, I don't feel the need to go to. If someone reaches out, if I don't want to do it at all. I mean, I've turned down projects before. I went out and it was basically like a reality show thing where it was like a restaurant show, right? And the audition was that I was the manager of the restaurant, and like a kitchen nightmare sort of thing. And I'm just yelling at the staff. So I go in, and they were doing maybe 25 people in a room at a time and just circling through. And
I went, and it was just to yell, and a bunch of people were going, and which is weird because you're all standing in a room around watching other people audition, right? So they're talking, and then he's yelling, they're yelling, but they're kind of timid and whatever, and blah blah blah. And the girls. So I get this poor, innocent little girl comes up, and they say go, and I release an Italian tirade, like a New York. I went off, and she froze, and she could not move. And then they said cut, and I said thank you, and the whole room had stopped because I just did what you do. I went maybe a little overboard. The whole room stopped, and then they kind of laughed, and I said, "Have a great day," because I wasn't really mad, right? You're pretending,
right?
And they called me, and I didn't want to do it because you had to sign a release saying an NDA, so that it would go out to NBC, but then people would think that I'm a manager of a restaurant.
Oh, right.
And I'm not. So I was like, I don't want to do it. So, but the production company called me for like 2 years to do all these shows, but I don't want to do it's not my thing.
Wait, so are you saying reality TV is not reality?
I'm saying that I want to do what I enjoy doing. It's like I love all sorts of music, but I don't want to. I don't want to go to a ska concert. I'll listen to a song or two, but I don't want to. I want to do what I want to do. My time is valuable to me because I'm old, and at this point in my life, I want to do what I want to do. And if I don't want to do I felt no need. I mean, sure, I could use the money, right? Who couldn't use a check? But I don't want to be known as a manager of a restaurant, and then I can't say that I was acting. I just have to be that guy. So I'll be recognized as the guy who's yelling at people.
But then there could be the spin-off, the restaurant manager redemption, where you become a nice guy.
But I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't even, I mean, if it was like a reality show where you follow comedians around or something, or musicians, that would probably be something that I would be into. But just, I don't want people to think that I'm a manager of a restaurant, which is fine, but I can't say that I can't even put it on the reel. And then the whole thing came out where it was fake, and then they canceled it because everybody was mad. So
of course. And then also, I think it's also interesting how reality TV is, I don't know, it's hard to deny the popularity of reality TV. And then it's like, I watch some of the shows, I'm like, are they really, really acting? Because that's some pretty good acting. But then other times I'm like, oh, that's totally fake. Like, that makes no sense. So it's just, I don't know. It's an interesting aspect of the industry. And what's also interesting is there's so many reality TV shows that you don't even know about. Like, we know about the biggies, but like if you ever go to like a smaller production company, I remember I was sitting in the waiting room and I saw the wall and I was like, it was like, mafia children's cousins, and like all these,
right?
Because they're all like copycat,
unnecessary shows.
Yeah, unnecessary shows that just fill this void of content. It's like House Hunters, Siberia, for albinos. It's like,
oh my god, I think I'd watch that. It's such a
because where are you, sir? Because they take an idea and then they like put some strange twist on it, and suddenly it's like a new show. So it's definitely
all right. So I'm going to have to ask this: what are your guilty pleasures in terms of reality shows? Like, what's the one that you watch that you're like, oh,
well, let's see. What is really interesting is I used to watch some of the Housewives, not all of them, but I used to watch some of them. But now there's this really good podcast that recaps them. And the podcast is longer than the episodes, but it's so entertaining. So I don't even watch the episodes. I just listen to the podcast.
You've stolen the content. They've stolen the viewer.
And they do they make fun of them and they mimic them. And it's just hilarious. Literally, I've listened to recaps that are an hour and 20 minutes, for a 1 hour show. So that has, really been interesting. And then I'm still an old school Survivor fan, which is that's the one that started it, right? Yeah, and it's really interesting. Like, I get really emotional in that show because I I think, you know, it's a very primal. Like you see these people suffering, and then like every little thing they're so grateful for. Oh my God, like great
Lava beans.
Yeah. Right. You know, and not that I learn anything from it, but I was like, I don't know, maybe I enjoy watching them suffer, and then like the little highs and lows that they have.
They thought it would be easier, right?
So I get really emotional for some reason. So
what did I watch? I used to love to watch Project Runway. Believe it or not, when that first came out, I was like, "This is kind of not my normal show," but it's so beautiful that the creativity behind it.
You know, they have so Heidi and Tim. I'm on a first name basis with them.
Yes,
Heidi and Tim have their new show called Making the Cut.
I saw the promos.
Yeah. Oh, we shouldn't say their name if they're not sponsored of your podcast. So
no, they are.
But
okay, they are. Yeah, no. Heidi and I. I don't want it. Well, plus Tim and I. But don't ask too many questions. Both of them. Yeah.
But anyway,
wait,
is that Heidi that's releasing all the debris behind you?
That's all of her previous Victoria's Secrets lotion that's coming off. Yeah.
It's her glitter. It's Heidi Klum glitter.
Yeah, sure.
But
sure.
That Making the Cut is like, I don't know. I think the verdict's out on it. Like I liked it, but then you go online and like all the trolls are like, are bashing it, you know? But what's interesting on that show is Naomi Campbell is a judge. And she is so mean. She's like,
that's her role, right? She's been. Yeah, I'm sure the producer said, "Oh, you're gonna be the mean one."
She's like your restaurant manager. Like she's like
the casting.
She's like, talk about making the cut. She's taking scissors and like stabbing them in the back. But you should take a look at it. It's on Amazon Prime. Is Amazon Prime a sponsor?
Oh yes, because that's where Wall of Flesh, a vintage comedy you can watch on. That's right. You can watch that currently on Amazon and Amazon Prime.
Yeah, then we can plug them. It's on Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon. Well, we're partners together. The Amazon family and I, we go way back. Doug Amazon and his wife, Deborah. They're wonderful people. The donations that they make are incredible.
You know. Oh, I know. Are they funding this whole project?
I think my tongue touched the mic, which has never happened ever. I think I'm too close. I think if your tongue touches the mic, you could probably back up. Did I need to call it out? No, but and I also saw you try to sip like a drink, like you didn't want anyone to know.
Oh no, I wasn't. It was because I have it down here. So I'm like,
it looked like you were, guilty and like, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't hiding. I was just going like.
See, now it looks like it's in your nose and that's Hollywood. We don't need to talk about that's what the stuff is floating around. don't worry. It's the 80s. We'll do real estate too.
It's the magic.
But I remember Project Runway. I think I had a girlfriend at the time who was watching it and I got into it. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought it was great. It was when Christian Serrano.
Yeah, Serrano.
Yeah, how long ago was that? That must have been 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah. Yeah, that I think that was I think it was an interesting show because it was character based. At the end of the day,
it was definitely they casted it.
The wardrobe was important, but that was like kind of like the icing on the cake. It was really the drama leading up to the runway.
Yeah, that wasn't. I was more into the actual. I had never known about fashion, and never in my life has fashion conversation come up. So I never thought about fashion design. So I was learning about an art form that I had no idea. I mean, obviously someone has to make a suit or a dress,
right.
But I didn't actually ever spend any mental time thinking about how things are constructed and things like that.
And also I think you learned to appreciate like, wow, that's a real talent. It's a real art form.
Well, when you see the bad ones, you're like, oh, just like anything else. You see something in beauty, you're like, oh, okay. But then you realize how much work it had to be to be that beautiful.
I also think how it's an interesting twist on reality when all these competition shows, they put arbitrary time limits on everything,
Right,
like in real life, like, okay,
that's for
like you can do the surgery, but you have 30 minutes, It's like
that would actually be kind of awesome. I would so watch that. If there was a doctor show where you had to save their life or that you kill them, right? You have 30 minutes or we just,
we can call it making the incision or something. And we can like have all these doctors, and we give them like, okay, so your patient has needs an appendectomy,
I don't even know what that is.
like take their appendix out. They need, they need a trichotomy, all these things. And then they only have a finite amount of time.
I think that would be kind of cool. And then they take the pen, right? And they put it in the guys and they're blowing it like the movie, right?
Yeah.
Dave. Wasn't there a movie where they made fun of that, where they were trying to do it and they're like, don't do it to me. I don't need it. I feel like that was done in something.
All I can think of is the scene in Pulp Fiction when he does the
plunger.
Yeah.
Well, apparently that was filmed backwards. That shot.
Oh, like that?
So he did that. So
that makes sense.
So little Hollywood moment here because we're celebrities of love.
This is the insider.
Oh yeah. That movie made a huge impact. For me, I was in high school and I'd never seen anything like that, and I think that's really got me into film. Was at that time the three movies were The Blues Brothers, Blade Runner, and here we are.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
I do think that one of the good things of all this isolation is you really have time to kind of catch up on things and go back and watch things, or hopefully there's also time to contemplate yourself and things like that. But I don't know, those classics are just amazing, like Pulp Fiction and Blues Brothers. Oh man, I'm from Chicago, so I was in Chicago when that movie came out.
Oh,
I could never get enough of that movie. And
that was it. I mean, that's what the Wall of Flesh. The whole point was it's a stupid, dick joke satirical take on the Blues Brothers. A man's getting the band back together. That's
definitely could see the influence of that.
The car, the whole, the having Gracie, the Wall of Flesh cars, like the Bluesmobile, and Josh Willis's character was named Jake Elwood.
By coincidence? I don't think so.
You know what I mean? So, I'm not trying to hide it. I mean, the whole point is I was making fun of all the movies where you go and you get the band back together,
Oh, I just got a text from Heidi Klum. She says, where can I see Wall of Flesh?
Oh, you can see it on Amazon.
Oh, right now?
Right now. It's currently on Amazon. Oh, my God,
you're kidding.
So you can watch her show, which is what's her show again?
Making the Cut.
So, so go in between. You do a little bit of both. A little watch this, whatever you want to do.
Well, Making the Cut is being released weekly, so there's only 4 episodes. So you can watch 4 episodes of Making the Cut, and you can watch 1 episode of Wall of Flesh.
91 minutes of insanity.
Yeah.
So, shout out also, if I may.
Yep.
Give yourself a shout out. You do the work to promote yourself.
Well, this is a little festival called the Die Laughing Film Festival. It's in Hollywood. And that's how I met Brian.
Yes.
That's one of the benefits of running a festival is you get to meet the filmmakers. And first of all, you get to see all this amazing content. And then you get to meet filmmakers and just learn about their process and, make connections. And I think it's a great environment. I love film festivals. That's why I started a film festival. It's because, good film festivals with good environments are really nurturing, and they're really like positive. Although I've been to some not so positive film festivals.
Sure.
But, it's a great opportunity. And I think for me, the goal was always to have a film festival where, it's not like there's like, Steven Spielberg is going to be there. It's like, no, it's like I want people with like kind of at the same level,
Yes.
And independent filmmakers that can potentially collaborate, learn from each other, share resources and stuff like that. It doesn't work if you have like a bunch of A-listers and then a bunch of like, it really doesn't, they don't mix, they don't have anything in
It's
common.
A different game. It's a different business model. It's not.
Yeah. That's why when sometimes, so we have a screenwriting portion of the festival where we actually put on scenes from screenplays, and the writers get to watch the actors perform it. And, sometimes I'll get inquiries like, oh, well, are you going to have any agents there? Or are you going to have any producers there?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, first of all, like I would love to have producers come to the screenwriting reading, but I think if I had those kind of connections, I'd pitch my own screenplays first.
Right. That's not what it's for.
Yeah, it's like, that's not what it's for. And it's like, you're welcome to bring producers. And I do invite producers, but I'm honest. I'm like, the chances are of a producer sitting there and reading your screenplay and being like, oh, I got to have it. Like, you got to guess.
The odds of that are.
Yeah.
And where they're going to have the money. Yeah. I mean, that's not how Hollywood works.
Yeah. Just within their own network, they're getting inundated with scripts. Sure, they might like it. And I have had inquiries from, like I had one filmmaker say, oh, I really like that actor. Can you put me in touch with them? I want to use him for a project. So those things that's wonderful. But again, they've got to be kind of in the same arena, like it doesn't make sense to have CAA come to the Die Laughing Film Festival because he has no need for any of these people.
Right.
So,
right.
When
you understand that it's show business.
Yeah.
Once you realize that, so let me thank you for having the project in the festival.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Now, you also put something in your brochure for the movie. Do you remember what you...
Yeah, I know exactly what it was. It's a collector's piece right now. I mean,
yes.
It's on eBay. I think the last bidding I saw was $5,000.
Yeah, that's what I saw it for.
Yeah.
It was a picture of my butt. So
but it was tasteful though.
It's the screenshot. It's the title card from the movie. It happens to be a tattoo on my butt because I'm classy.
Yeah. And you want to set the tone right off the bat.
Yes, I want you to know that this movie is going nowhere quickly for 90 minutes. But the film festival circuit. So I haven't announced this to anyone, but this year I have started my first film festival, which is for comedy only. Called the Poor Life Choices Comedy Film Festival.
Nice.
And I did not promote it to my circle because I don't care in a good way. Yeah. I'm more worried about the people that are looking to get in the festival, right? Because I could just tell all my friends about it and they'd all submit, right. But that's not what it's about. It's about, like what you said, I was looking for a place because comedy is obviously not taken as seriously as dramas. And so there aren't a lot of comedy film festivals in comparison. And I also have an appreciation for comedy that's a little blue, that's dark, that is diverse. I really wanted a festival where like-minded people, low budget, people that are making very funny content that they don't get to be seen in these festivals because a lot of these are for families. So you're not going to have, Wall of Flesh is a prime example. It's only appropriate for certain sort of festivals, which is limiting, right? If I do a mob piece, then I can be in a million of them. But, blue comedy, stoner comedies, dark comedies, it's a different. So I started it and I promoted it only through Film Freeway. And it was actually, I was supposed to put notifications out April 1st, and we were having it around 4/20. So it's going to be 4/19. And I shrunk it down to one day at the complex because the complex is where I started comedy, right? So basically for the last, 9 months, this festival has been growing. And I've actually wanted to reach out to you to speak to you about your experience in leading one. But then obviously, starting a couple of months ago, everything kind of was slowing down and they didn't know to a point now where it's completely closed. So I'm disappointed because obviously it's, and all of the ticket sales were going to go to the Children's Hospital. Right. So I'm not, ticket sales will all be donated. So that didn't get to happen. So obviously it's been postponed. There's no theaters to have it. So I spoke to Film Freeway about, I may change it this year depending on how long this goes and just making the first year online. But I've already paid a deposit at the theater, right? Yeah. So, and so I'm postponing for now, but I spoke to them. So let's say in 90 days, the theaters are still closed. Then I'll change it for this year and do some sort of online thing and party. But the point was to meet. I want like-minded comedians to meet. And by taking a little bit of profit, I can do a little good and donate that. So if an email that I did not send is if the theaters don't open back up, then I'll donate all of the money that would have gone to a physical location to the Children's Hospital, And this whole experience is supposed to be for fun and who knows what's going to happen now.
That's super exciting. And I think one of the reasons why we kind of have a connection, even though, we don't know each other that well, is that's exactly how I approach my film festival. I do not promote it to my friends.
Yeah,
now they know, but literally I was on the same page. And I feel the same way when I do like a theater project or a live theater project. It's like, I can get all my friends to come, but then I might as well put it out in my garage. You're like, hey, let's put on a show. The point is you want to bring in people who are not directly related to you.
There's no point for it's business. Yeah. Because it is a business, right? At the end of the day. So it's just not worth the time. It was funny. There was one person who was interested and they didn't even want to do it. I was like, then don't
do it.
It's like, I think a lot of people, what they're missing in this town is a business part, which isn't always easy, but it's show business. It's they're doing money. And, but I will do the online film festival if I have to, but I know that the whole point is for people to meet, right? So you have a block of short films, let them meet. I'm sure the people that submitted want to meet other like-minded people and do it. And I don't want to take that away from them. You and I both don't know, we have no idea what's going to happen.
Let's have a conversation afterwards, and I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing with Die Laughing, because Die Laughing is scheduled for May 8th and 9th.
Okay, so you're okay.
Yeah, it's probably not going to go. And I'm a little bit less flexible because this is our 4th year. So it's, so I can't delay it 6 months and then have the other,
I understand.
It messes up the schedule. Whereas luckily you're in your 1st year, so you have a little bit built-in flexibility. But I'm set in on these May dates because I have, so it would just mess up the whole thing. And, you want to create that kind of momentum, with the time frame. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've come up with a good solution, but I haven't announced it. So I'll tell you.
Well, this is the first time I've ever mentioned it to anybody ever, because, but I had wanted, it's funny. I wanted to reach out to you and my other buddy who has one too, just to learn from you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not that I know everything about everything, but I can tell you what works for me and what problems I found, because I'm sure they're universal. I think when I talk to other festival directors, and now you're one of the elite.
Yes.
Yes. So me, you, Robert Redford, Robert De Niro.
No, Bob. Yeah. 2 Bobs.
Yeah.
I don't know which Bob I'm talking to on a conference call. It can be very confusing. But, plus Robert Durst,
Yeah. But anyways, it's a great environment, and I'm glad that someone like you is going to be part of it, because I think you're going to create a really good culture, film festival culture, and that's really important. I think it's amazing when, people come back and say, "Oh, this is what I liked about your film festival. Like, we felt very welcome and stuff." Because at the end of the day, like, it's all business. There's not a lot of bells and whistles, but I'm very upfront. I'm like, it's at a black box. It's a very nice, environment, because we get to mingle and stuff. And, the reality is like, to rent out the, a theater at AMC is cost prohibitive. It's like, it's like, then no one's work gets seen, and I think this way, let's keep it more intimate and more friendly. And I think that's what everyone liked, was like, oh, it was great to like really talk to people and
the drinking, the donations, so we brought in a couple beers, and we had a couple beers. We had a blast, and that is important, to just have a good time, which is why I don't want to take it away. I mean, honestly, if it goes online, deal with it. It is what it is. I'm as disappointed as you, because I won't get to, because it'll end up being more work for me. And everyone will be disappointed, but it is what it is. But the whole thing is to have fun. Let's all, so there's, the blue comedy. I want people to go out and see that, because there are people who love I love dark comedies. I laugh. I mean, everything I watch is either comedy or murder. You know what I mean? It's like, not Mindhunter. What's the one I just watched? I just watched the Robert Durst one 5 years later.
Right. Robert Durst is
the real estate guy from New York.
Yeah, but he's not. The Staircase is the guy who pushes the wife. What's Robert Durst's documentary called?
Jinx.
Oh, Jinx. Right. That was amazing.
Yeah, that came out 5 years ago. But I watched it because
but if you dive deep into the confession at the end, it turns out that there might have been some editing in it.
Okay, so spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Jinx.
Well, I don't think that's 5 years. But I think very few people don't know that that's what made the Jinx so amazing.
The whole thing. But you and I know that anytime you don't see someone on camera speaking, I can kind of assume that they're editing it down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And and obviously you're going to trim it because he could have been in the bathroom for 10 minutes, right? So they just take the bub and they and that's what you do. I mean, that's production. Yeah. It's the Wizard of Oz. This town is Oz,
Well, I do think, along the lines of reality TV, I think documentaries, when they're really well done are excellent. But at the end of the day, just as show business is about business, documentaries are about entertainment. Like, facts be damned. At the end of the day, they got to sell a product. I think that's why, Tiger King has been so interesting because it's been a very big phenomenon. But then if you just peel back a little bit of the layer, you're kind of like, certain things don't make sense or certain things are sensationalized.
Sure. But which is
hard,
But you have to. It's fun.
Yeah, you have to. Well, but I give him all the credit in the world. I actually, in terms of what I listen to on podcasts, I always listen to real crime and I also watch documentaries because they're so well crafted,
Yes.
And they do have strong entertainment value. Did you watch McMillions?
No, that's next on my list. Okay. Don't spoil that for me. But I know that it's a con with the mob guys, which is why I want to watch it.
It's really slick. Like it's really well done. Like the production value is top notch and it makes the story come alive, And, in terms of podcasts, I always say, Tiger King was actually originally there was a podcast on it that came out years ago. So I had listened to the podcast a long time ago. So I knew the whole story. So when Tiger King came on, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I ended up watching a couple episodes, but kind of lost interest. But if you want really good news, podcasts are where they're at because they have the tools and the time to investigate, which the media no longer does.
Right. Yeah.
So
cookie cutter.
These podcasts, like they're spending like years, researching one thing, and then they do, 8 hours on it. So it's incredibly in depth, and I think we're seeing more and more podcasts being turned into TV.
This most likely this will happen. So once the good people, I've decided to go off network. I'm looking for kind of a, maybe HBO. I haven't decided where I'm going to go, but I probably HBO. But I don't know. Maybe Netflix. HBO, I don't know.
HBO might be too small for this.
Yeah, that's not even TV.
Yeah, I feel like you should think bigger. Like how Eurovision has like all of Europe.
Yes.
So like maybe like Euro Brian, and then it'd be every year. It'd be like Euro Brian 2020, and then Euro Brian 2021.
I do have a friend who has his own cologne out. Maybe I'll make my own cologne. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? I kind of want to I want to film that. That would be a great, well, we can't leave the house, but a great, what do you call it? A great is that
I'm sure you
our own colognes.
I'm sure you can Google that and they'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Oh, so if you're watching this, still the idea for Conan, because that sounds like a great Conan, like a remote, like I said. But I would like to make my own cologne. Ooh,
why not?
I wear the John Varvatos, the original one, so it's like it's got a little. The whole thing is like vanilla and
old school
leather. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
I think your cologne should be called Brian by Yeah.
How did you come up with
Brian, and then Brian by Kylie Jenner.
Okay, what would your 3 signature scents be?
Okay, that's easy. First of all, I love coconut.
Okay, yeah.
Like all my soaps and everything, shampoo, everything's coconut.
Paradise.
Yeah, I like coconut. I don't know if this would work. I also like curry. So that might be weird, but coconut curry, that's a thing.
Yeah, it's still sweet. I can see it creamy. You got to add a little cream to it.
And then I actually need something more masculine, so I'll go with sandalwood for $500.
What is delicious? I don't know. That actually sounds interesting.
You know,
like
they have those
curry with.
They have those stores where you can make your own perfume. They're like little laboratories.
Perfume.
Yeah, they're like.
I have seen one in 3rd Street.
Yeah, there's a huge one. There's a little shop on 3rd Street, and they're basically like it's like a little lab, and you get to pick what you want, and you make your own cologne.
It's a remote. I want to do it.
But you got to be careful. You got to take notes because you don't want to create the perfect cologne and then not know what you did.
Right?
Can you imagine if you had the perfect cologne and then be wait, was it 3 drops or how many? You know,
Willy Wonka's secret recipe for the gobstopper.
I guess that's why you have it being filmed the whole time so that you archive it.
That would be good. I'd like to do that. I would go. Let's see. I might go like tobacco, leather, and vanilla.
Tobacco, leather, and vanilla. Ugh.
No, too much. Too much.
I have a strong aversion to tobacco.
Like that kind of wood, not sandalwood, but like a wood tone.
Yeah, more like campfire, like that smell from campfire. Yeah, that I like. You know, the thing with tobacco. Do you smoke cigarettes?
I smoke a pipe like an old man. I used to smoke cigarettes.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Did your parents smoke?
No, not. My father quit right around when I was born. So my parents weren't a smoker.
So why did you start smoking? Just to be cool?
It was a horrific breakup. And I
just picked up a cigarette.
Well, I mean, I think like I had a couple in my 20s for fun. Like, you know, like you drink, you'd have them and not really whatever. And then I was just having one of those kind of moments in life and I bought a pack and that was it for like a year. But then I quit cold turkey. I was just like, so I went from a pack. It was like a moment in which I needed kind of stress, you know, like self-medication thing. But I've smoked like an old man pipe for years. But I didn't smoke very long.
No, I think it's interesting because like my dad was a chain smoker, you know, from the day I was born to the day he died, like literally. And it was funny. It wasn't until we were like teenagers that we realized how much he smoked because we were looking through our family photo albums and literally every photo he had a cigarette. He never did not have a cigarette. And so I have a very strong aversion to cigarette smoke, you know? And,
I don't like a cigarette smoke either, but pipe smoke people like. I mean, I can smoke a pipe. And the stuff,
maybe it's too similar.
Not the English pipes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they're aromatic. They're aromatic pipes.
Oh, like the fruity ones.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I smoke. I mean, I can't. I'm not down with heavy latakia.
Yeah. No, it is interesting because I feel like if you have parents that smoke, you either embrace it or you run from it. You know, like there's no middle ground. And then I think it's the same with alcohol. You know, if your parents are heavy drinkers, you either embrace it or you like. Yeah,
it's the gene. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't smoke for very long. It was like I smoked throughout, like the 20s, but like fake smoke, like you know, occasionally, and then there was like a little stretch, but that was it. But I've been smoking a pipe.
Well, you probably weren't that addicted or.
Oh, I definitely did. Once I realized, I could definitely tell the difference because when you smoke a pipe or a cigar, you're getting the nicotine, right?
Yeah.
With the cigarettes, I mean, it's just not the same I mean, it's just dirtier. I mean, every cigarette is 25% old cigarette to begin with.
Yeah.
And the chemicals that's why pipe tobacco and cigar smokers, you're really just smoking that, and they may put a slight flavor on it, but they don't have the chemicals like the cigarettes that really make you. I mean, I remember waking up at 3:00 in the morning and eating one. At 3:00. But it was also stress, a lot of stress that was going on. And it was also simultaneous of a big project. It was like things were crazy. I was smoking for the project too. So it was just kind of a natural, like on camera.
Yeah.
So,
and I think smokers, it's very behavioral, like people who smoke know how to smoke, like the little, nuances of smoking. They really embrace it, it becomes part of their character,
Yes.
It's if you're an actor and you need to smoke, you can tell if someone's not a real smoker.
Yeah. If you watch Wild and Flesh, Allison Bills, the way she holds a cigarette, she'd have it. You could tell she never smoked a day in her life.
Yeah.
Because it was like how you would comedically hold a cigarette versus like actually.
Right. Like how you think someone would smoke.
Yeah, and it was always slightly just not how you'd hold it, because you could like. Yeah.
And also, and smokers have their own like personality to smoking. Like the way they,
And there really are, right? There's cigarette. I mean, obviously there's weed, right? And hookah, but the three are going to be, your cigarettes, your pipe, and your cigars. And as a pipe smoker, they're like, pipe smokers are like old white guys who go to Harbor Freight and have like chinos on and beer, and I love the smell of a pipe. I mean, I smoke them too much. I'm actually out now. And so I withdraw, but people seem to like it a lot more. But cigars, people hate the smell of, and cigarettes, I don't like the smell of cigarettes. I mean, and the thing when you're smoking cigarettes, you don't smell.
Right. You don't know.
You don't. I mean, but in your mind,
you can't smell it, right?
You can't smell it. So, but you forget that. I remember once I was stressed. I went out to my parents. I went to the parking lot and had a cigarette during this whole thing. I came back.
Oh, and they busted you?
No, they didn't. But it was like this whole grown man pretending I didn't just stressfully get up and have a cigarette in return. But I just quit. I don't care about that. Smoking a pipe is kind of a contemplative experience. There's something to it, right? You take out the briar if you smoke briar, and you have different pipes, and so it's like a different experience. So you can pick which pipe you want and pick which tobacco you want. So with a cigarette, you're just like, right, Larry? Right. About that, but the
pipe is very ceremonial.
Yes, right. The War and Peace pipes.
Yeah,
which is Tolstoy's plumber. Hell, no, that's so stupid. That was Tolstoy? Who wrote War and Peace, right? Tolstoy?
No.
Who was that?
Was it? Yeah. I don't know. I only got through the war part. We never got to when they figured it out. Yeah. I think reading would be a good thing to do. It's like when this all started. So I've been in self-isolation for, 21, 22, 23. This is my 25th day. And it's funny because you do start out thinking like, I'll get some stuff done, and you get very ambitious. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, I think my sense of time is very altered. So it's like my day is my day, but it's a different sense of day. And like, I'll look up, I'm like, oh my God, it's 4:30. Like, I have no idea. Yeah. I was like, it seems like it's 11, So I think it's hard, and I think we are suffering from a little bit of stress, regardless of whether we know it or not. But
all work and no play.
Yeah. I'm trying to be more productive and tackle some of the things that ambitions. I did, reading is a good thing. I have so many books that I would love to read. And I did start something and I nixed it because I don't think it was a good thing. I was like, I'm gonna rewatch Game of Thrones. And so I started with episode 1, season 1, and it got immediately too intense because I think I know everything that's going to happen. Right. So like every little thing I was like, Cersei, like every little thing I like fast forward to all the drama and like, and pain and everything. So I found it immediately too intense.
Too much for right now.
It's too much. And I was like, bad environment. So I was like, I got to stick to making the cut. wall of flesh or
something positive is important. I mean, because at the end of the day, we're all tamping it down a little bit. I think there's a certain we don't know what's going to happen, and we might as well have a good time and watch things, and it gives us an opportunity to catch up because this thing with you and I right here is a beautiful moment because of it. There's something positive, so we can make positive things. We can talk film, we can talk comedy, we can create content, we can still move forward in a positive way, and and hopefully that you and I during this experience got to not think about impending doom for a moment, and
once this is over, we can go back to ignoring each other.
Yeah. No, we're going out for that. We're going out for when this is all over, I definitely want to have some sort of like giant barbecue party or wherever, it's just like the after Corona, and we'll want a beer, whatever.
You're going to the annual film festival conference, aren't you? Film festival director conference, aren't you? You got the invite?
Let me tell you what, I don't think I'm allowed. No, I don't know that. No, not AFM. Is it?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, nobody calls me. They won't let me in the DGA. I don't know what that's about. They won't. They said you don't deserve it. We saw the movie. No, kidding.
I think it's all about you just have to apply and pay the money.
Well, what's the point right now? There's no projects. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to maybe save it for food and shelter. But Ray, my man, thank you for your time.
Wow. Wait, I appreciate has it been 7 hours already?
It's been an hour and 2 minutes.
Oh, I thought this was going to be longer. No.
Oh, we could. Well, I know.
No, I'm kidding.
I'll go 7 hours.
I got things to do.
I don't.
Brian,
I have nothing but time. But thank you for your time. And then, which I always forget to do until this very thing, because people have stopped listening, is your social media shout outs or whatever you want to promote or anything for you.
You'll find me.
I'll put the things in the description. We got you.
If they want to find me, they'll find me.
There you go.
Right? I'm not that, hidden. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
All right.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Okay, bud.
All right, bye.
See you soon.